Have you been feeling split to the point where it kind of feels a little bipolar and you're not sure in your decision making or your direction, whether you should go right or you should go left? Stay tuned because I'm going to share with you some information today that will help you shed old paradigms so you can unlock inside of you the new earth perspectives that's going to help you rapidly shift in this new paradigm and create personal growth so you can really get on board with what your soul plan is. So in case you haven't got plugged into my Accelerate Your Ascension Academy, just know that there is a lot of information I provide there that can help you accelerate this process faster. So be sure to check out the links above or below, and you'll find more content there that can help you accelerate your process. And in fact, today's video is some clips that I've taken from my monthly training. Inside that program, you're going to find some more up-to-date information about my real-time experiences that I go through and how I'm navigating these shifts. Hello, everyone, and happy August. I'm so excited to be here for this month's training. I opened it up with a little bit of information to provide on the last live Zoom call a couple of days ago to share with you what I've been seeing, what's going on in my reality and how that relates to other people, because I know that I'm always in alignment with the collective. And that being that we're breaking down old paradigms or old belief systems that are no longer serving us. And as we do that, I made some notes just to make sure I'd stay on track. The goal of us in the new earth, the new world, the new version of ourselves is transforming our belief systems, which is a form of the personal growth that we undergo and alchemize basically ourselves through these processes of the beliefs that we have acquired for eons, centuries. I'm sure that, I know for me that these belief systems are embedded into not just my own memory, my own subconscious. It's literally the imprinting in the DNA of your soul that you're implementing, like a lot of these processes at the same time, which is like splitting hairs between all these ideas that can be super confusing. So what I want to break this down is in 3 parts, basically. And the first part is about understanding what those old belief systems are. The second part is what is the your new perspective living within the new earth. And then how can we implement, and what do we implement of the new belief system? So in that, let's kind of talk about like the power beliefs and how they shape our reality. And, they're our core thoughts. They're our, like, how we view the world. And it's also how we've been programmed through the programming of the world or outside of us that has programmed us. And so what happens is these belief systems are basically a filter that is a perception or an illusion or an interpretation of an experience that we have went through up until this point. In that, I think it's so important to really define what these beliefs are. Take a look and truly have started writing these down to get to I told you in the live, if you didn't watch it, that one of my core beliefs, or my core beliefs my root beliefs are being demolished in this process of what I'm talking about. And it's reflecting through this idea that I have this tooth that is loose and I may have to have a root canal, and all of my dental work is on hold for a minimum of like 2 extra months. That has redirected my plans for going forward. And knowing, like, kind of just in case you didn't watch that, and if you probably heard me talk about this, it is truly aligning with and integrating, I should say, with the future version of you, the past version of you, into the present version of you. And in doing that, take a look at that. It's very confusing on which side of you is your masculine side, your feminine side operating. Is your left brain or your right brain in control? Is your higher self, your lower self in control? Or your head and your heart? And it is still about aligning all those things, because on one side of this, when it comes to certain beliefs about who we are, what we do, and how we can create things is dependent on some level of our soul plan. So what if, like, and I'll just give you an example from my case. What if, okay, so I'm working to manifest and I want to go and I feel called to LA, which in the core of my soul and everything else I've believed in that belief system or intuition telling me and how I've operated knows I'm to be there. Also feels like my job is done here, but then the alignment of it doesn't match. And that's where it gets tricky on what to feel and what to create and what to believe. So what if my soul path was like, okay, yeah, you're reading and feeling in the future and you are to be in LA, but what if in this, process of getting there, there is more to be done. There's more for you to experience. There's more for you to integrate with. There's more for you to cover, or there's something else, or a reroute. I call these also reroutes. So a reroute to another experience that I need to, before I can get to this experience, right? And so that's where we have to really find the fine line between our destiny, our soul plan, and the free will we have to get there. And as we go through this process of these experiences, to also sit down and be like, okay, I want to go there, but into LA, but I also need to leave space and room for something that greater or better. Or what if that was an old timeline? What if that was an experience I knew I was supposed to have in another dimension, another timeline that no longer exists in the future timeline? And this is again where I say it can get really like splitting hairs inside of us when all of this is happening at the same time, multidimensionally. When you're that in tune, you're that aware, and you're that connected, and you're that intuitive, and you're that in aligned with having navigated the way you do to navigate that process. And now the process maybe changes or, it shifts. So the first key, back to what I said, is to start to really define your belief systems and do it from this perspective at this moment, or what it's been up to this moment. And one of mine has been, because I did this and just a few days ago, I told you in that live that I was doing that I had been going through this. So I've been kind of tracking out what I was doing and sharing it for feedback. But what I would encourage you to do is I kind of was just sleep on it. And if you go back 2 to 3 months ago, back around May's live train, or not live, the training I did for May this month, I'm pretty sure it was May, where you could take a problem and turn it into a project and not focus on the problem, but see how you can turn that problem into becoming, how to solve it. And you do the meditation and you bring it from your conscious mind, your higher conscious to your conscious, and your unconscious to your conscious. And you do that through going through into alpha waves of your brain waves to get in that state of creation from that place, that it will help you release all the resistance and help you shift through and navigate this process that I'm talking about faster. And it is a very deep process. So I love feedback from you as well on this, and where you're at in this journey. But what I was going to say is, if you run across one of these belief systems or something that you're running across and you're not sure whether to go right or left, and that's what I keep hearing from people. I even use the term right or left. And actually that is one of the things, me going through this is a piece of what I've been learning for the last few years, and I'm implementing into the Sedona retreat that's coming up in October. Because one of the things that we'll be doing there is going through this, and in that content that I have there, or information I have there, is how we are, a lot of people have let go of their identity of what they've known has been basically that tower moment. And this has been happening over and over for us, but to the point we're hitting this ground zero to start and have let go of everything we've known to put in the new. And so a lot of people now are hesitant on direction of right or left in their journey. And that's the words that's been coming through. And I've been hearing that. And that is the reason that came up is because there's some content I created for that retreat and the copy for it to promote it had to do with, are you at a crossroads and you don't know whether to go right or left? So, and it also is like a feeling of being in the wilderness and really learning to trust the process as we go through this process, because that is a piece of how we connect to that higher version of ourselves, the more divine version of ourselves. Because I also mentioned this in the live, that I'm also seeing where the divinity is taking over, and it's no longer 100% of what we want to create in something. It's what we're collectively creating that's connecting to the divine plan of the future. And so if you're truly trying to create something and you keep getting rerouted, then you need to be surrendering to the divine plan, operating from the divine plan, and connecting to like a collective mission that you might be connected to. That is how you are basically going to navigate these new earth perspectives, the new earth beliefs. Okay. And that's another thing I'm saying. These are no longer just our beliefs or the old beliefs. These are what's going to be going into the future of the new earth, the new perspective. And therefore we're embodying them, we're embracing them. And like those thoughts, feelings, ideas, beliefs need to come through us. And we need to see, like, one thing we're moving away from is this individualized person to a collective, collaborative group of unity and oneness. And so that moves away from what you want to what does the collective want. Okay. And what I feel like that is, I've had a little resistance in that, because I feel like I've done my job for the collective on a lot of parts from the clearing, right? But this is collective work, even for what I'm saying, to create the new system. So once you can define what your own beliefs are, what your own values are, and to go through a process of realizing as these thoughts, feelings, emotions come through you, begin to interpret it, begin to take notes on it. And I don't think I finished this a while ago, but one of mine has been that I can identify with who I want to be in the future, in that authentic version. I can think, feel, and act like that version of me now to create that. But what if what I think that person is not fully what it is that I am to be, and my fullest version of me? And that's another piece of what I'm saying. So again, leave room and space for that. But it doesn't hurt to define what your own beliefs are, or to define what your own values are, or to look at these beliefs that maybe you're being challenged with. Once you identify the beliefs, then you can basically, take a look at, why are you still holding on to it? What is holding you back? What is preventing you from like being open to like something new or different, than what you see in this time or dimension? And so basically what I'm saying is reflect on those things that no longer serve you and maybe no longer serves your growth, and then examine the impact that they're having on how you go forward. And to look at that and see if, like, is this an illusion, or is it something that I feel still connected to? Am I confident in it? Am I making decisions based on this? Is it bringing peace and prosperity, or well, that too, peace and prosperity, which is a little reading I'm going to share with you that come through in that, because there's a book here. I'm just going to share it with you. The Complete Works of Florence Shen has been very powerful for me in this new earth concept, this new earth perspective, and changing my belief systems from what's breaking down to the new earth perspectives to implement new beliefs. And so I've been like doing a lot of healing work into this space of mine and really recognizing the truth to that. It's even my left side, which is the feminine side. So when somebody tells you something, you gotta be super careful out there these days, because their stuff might be projecting onto you. People, even healers and energy work people, and some I've even been connected with, they're still operating some old timelines. And people I know are being fed like these old models and old beliefs or old ways to heal. I feel like it's keeping people stuck in that paradigm, that it's time to shift us into a new reality, a new way to do things, which is another thing of me breaking down my own ways to heal. And so the old beliefs really just create limitations that are affecting your decisions. Part of what I was saying in this is that when it comes to these healers telling you don't adopt, or other people tell anyone telling you that you, like for instance, you have this going on, know that you are the only one that can truly know that. And it needs to resonate with you. It just so happens she's very highly connected like I am, and I align with it, and it makes sense to me, and it resonates with me. And I can feel that like there's truth to what I have going on here, because my body is trying to let go of those old root systems, and me letting go will let go of this. Now, another thing is, in Louise Hay's book, it talks about there's so many levels of truth to certain things, but don't adopt something from someone and take on their stuff that makes your decision making even more stuck. Now, that being said, let's talk about the new Earth's perspective and what that really means, and being able to shift the challenges and the chaos into courage, confidence, and moving beyond what we've known. So that is going to call for you to think of yourself as a pioneer. Think of yourself as a new Earth thought leader, and that you need to begin to envision the paradigm shifts that we're making in humanity in this process, that collectively we're awakening that higher consciousness. So that in itself is the new perspective of the new Earth. So we are adopting new belief systems based on the new Earth. It may be outside the scope of what our own belief has been, as a piece of what I'm saying. So the way you can shift this and make this paradigm shift is starting to let go of the things I talk about, let go of the paradigms you've held on to, the beliefs you've held on to, start to embrace the idea that it's a unity awareness, and that you begin to live more consciously, more connected, more authentic, a higher version of you that represents the new Earth values. So I would spend some time really asking your higher self on that guided meditation I did for you back in May. I was talking about, it's the perfect way to do some of this rewriting, to go to their higher self, to shift into your alpha wave brain levels for creation, go to the higher self and gain the genius mind in you that's connected to your higher self, to tap into wisdom and truths that are coming from your higher self. And then learning to understand the higher consciousness within you that will be connected to the version of you that is the future version. Another thing I want to say about that in the conscious living, another way, an example I can tell you how I'm experiencing it, is the idea that moving away from eating meat and being more vegan and being more conscious and foods and, you know, the things I partake in, and having desires, so to speak, that I have never experienced, or maybe like, and here's a good example of what I'm saying in overall. So when I have tried to go vegan before, it messed up my hormones, because I was automatically, from having the hysterectomy, my hormones had shifted out of alignment and were not balanced, and I'd put on some weight, so to speak. Well, then when I got on like bioidentical hormones after having a total hysterectomy from what I went through, those hormones then, when I started eating vegan and started eating more plant-based, the plant-based vegan food tends to shift your plant estrogen, basically, you know, your estrogen out of alignment. I was becoming estrogen dominant again, like I was before I had the hysterectomy. So then my doctor I was working with had to shift my levels of hormones. But not only that, I knew that what I was eating was shifting it, number one. Number two, my digestion was totally out of whack, and especially after COVID, that my ecosystem was not balanced, nor could I eat particular foods that were like would cause bloating. I get a lot of bloating from like broccoli or bananas, or even like to be a vegan would be eat more legumes and like, beans and, lentils and things like that. All of that would cause me to just blow up like a balloon and feel miserable. So I learned to avoid it. I learned to let go of it. I learned to reroute it. I had to go back and take out some of the plant-based foods and add in more protein back into my system, or meat versions of protein, and restructure that because of that. Now I've been called to do it as another level of, no, you need to be more plant-based. And then I'm looking at it from a way of, okay, well, if I need to be more plant-based, what's going to happen to my hormones? Am I going to go out of alignment again? If I'm going to eat legumes, am I going to swell up? Can I eat broccoli? Can I do all these things? So these are what I'm saying. They all belief systems, right? This is a perfect example. I'm saying very simple. What I have learned is there's been so many things that are down to that simplicity of my thought processes of how I navigate this journey, to like fully look at that and be like, that doesn't serve me anymore. My vibration is calling for plant-based. My vibration and energy is calling for higher vibrational foods. That is the new earth, and we're doing that on a food level, a finance level, an educational level, a spirituality level, or, government level. Everything is being broken down. And that's why I said it can get confusing, because it's everything happening at the same time. But it's from the inside out of how we navigate it within that also makes the collective shift of how we navigate every system and organization outside of us. So I'm finding that I'm able to start slowly integrating some legumes, some broccoli, some things, and I'm eating much more vegan again. And I am just looking at it from my body knows what it needs to stay in balance. And really going back to my new belief system is my body wants to be in balance. And so therefore, if I shift to these new things, then I'm not going to have the same issues I had with them doing it the first time. And this is another thing I'm saying, that I can do what I thought I couldn't do and was afraid to repeat it because afraid I would get the same result now. And what I'm saying is we're being faced with things and experiences that's forcing us to look at things and potentially be revisited, like the fear of repeating the pattern or repeating what happened or the experience causing you the same outcome. And I'm saying in the new perspective, you can do what you thought you couldn't do and get a different outcome now. And that's another version. So with that being said, with the fears around that, what I want to share with you is a reading about fears, because it's what most of this is all built around, fears for people. And what I tend to do with this book every day is I tend to just kind of pray over it and say, show me, what is it in here I need to know today? And I don't necessarily read a whole chapter. I just tend to be like, okay, and like whatever comes up or whatever feel guided, and it tends to always be the message. So before I came into here, I picked up the book and said, okay, what do I need to share in this book with you that correlates with what we're talking about? And this is what came through. So it says, I read in a daily paper that laws of mind are being generally recognized and understood. It has been found that the fear of failure is the greatest of all fears, and at least 75% of those examined psychologically have this failure of fear. Of course, this may refer to failure of health, failure of business, finances, love, success, etc. Other important fears are fear of dark, fear of being alone, fear of animals. Some people fear they will be misunderstood, while others fear they are losing mental control. Constant and continued fear affects the glands, interference with the digestion, and is usually associated with distressing the nervous system. And I got to say, this is one thing that I am also finding with the physical work that I'm called to help people do with in-person reboot or reset your soul trauma reset that help people in person, that I'm now offering VIP days and VIP sessions that are in person to help people really reprogram and recode their nervous system, program their emotions, and to basically eliminate the trapped, stored emotions that are trapped in the body, and restructure that, or reprogram the firing system of the nervous system. And so it's kind of like another example that would be, I told a client this the other day, that it's like a tiger's been chasing us in the, the sense of our body from what we've been through with all the traumas we've been through. And so our body and our nervous system are acting as if we still have a tiger chasing us, and we don't, but the program is still running. And that's what's important, to cancel that or recode that or reset that, so we're no longer being chased by tigers internally. And a piece of that physical work and the self-healing and the powers within yourself is what I'm going to be teaching, some of the new things that I've learned in the Sedona retreat. That's a Healing Haven retreat. Again, I'll put the link for you below. So anyway, okay, so it robs the body of health and destroys happiness. So fear is a man's worst enemy for you to attract what you fear. And that goes back to like the law of attraction and us being able to attract what we want. We may not always attract what we want, but we're going to attract what we need and we also don't attract like what we want necessarily. We attract who we are. And I've heard this many times. I actually heard it in a training I did today. Again, it reminded me, it was very good. So fear is the worst enemy that for you to attract what you fear. It is faith turned upside down. It is really faith and evil instead of good. Why are ye faithful, O ye of little faith? The fearless and fretted mind attracts to itself all good. Whatever you desire or require is already on your pathway. Before you call, I have answered. Suppose we paraphrase the scripture that says, whatever you desire or require is already planted on your pathway. Often a new word will give you a sudden realization. If you are in need of any information, it will be given unto you. A friend told me of the surprising work of the law. She was translating an old Italian manuscript on the life of an early Persian ruler. No books in English had been written on the subject, and she wondered why publishers were holding back its publication. One evening, she was eating her dinner at the ottoman, and she fell into a conversation with a man at the same table. She told him of the work she was doing and of the translation of the early Italian manuscript. He suddenly volunteered the information. You'll have a hard time getting it published because this Persian ruler's ideas conflict with the ideas of the present government. He was a student and scholar and knew more than she did on the subject. Her question was answered, and at the ottoman, such information could usually be gleaned only in the archives of some public library. God's work in unexpected places he wonders to perform. She had worried about it, but when she was peaceful and happy and unconcerned, the information sailed in at the calm sea. So if you doubt or you fear, you lose your contact with the supreme force. So if you're filled with doubts and fears, it is necessary to do something to show your faith. Faith without words or actions is dead. Action, faith impresses the subconscious and the existence, and you keep your contact with universal intelligence. Just as Wall Street watches the market, we must watch our faith market. Often the faith market is down. Sometimes it goes up and down until a crash comes, some unhappy situation which we could have prevented. We realize we followed reason instead of intuition. And so I'll stop at that, but you get the point. And a piece of this process that I feel in all of this transition of the old paradigm is really testing our faith and testing us on how much do we truly trust ourselves? How much do we truly trust this journey? How much can we trust the process of the navigation to get through the process of this? So really take a look at your key principles and the key perspectives of the New Earth regimens so that you can really take note in what it is that you came here to be a part of, shifting this perspective paradigm from the old Earth to the new Earth, or your old beliefs to the new beliefs, basically. And so that calls for the third part I mentioned is implementing the new beliefs. And so we can consciously choose these beliefs that empower us in any given moment. And I'm always saying, make your actions in alignment with what keeps you in peace and power. Now, that being said, how do you navigate that from a way of a human being that gets tested, right? So think of it as a mind integration, and to practice more mindfulness, more techniques that are going to bring you through creative visualization, meditation, imagination, affirmations, and begin to create this as part of your daily routine. That exercise I gave you for that meditation to help shift you from the waking state into the alpha state brainwaves can help slow your mind down and create an integration of the mind that can pull you out of alignment with all of these things. So I would refer you back to that for sure. But the other piece in that is to know that it's helping you cultivate resilience. And so we go through this process, and it's going to be super important to stay committed to our own truth, stay committed to the process, stay committed to the journey, stay in a place that you don't hang on to things, and that you can look and view the challenges as not obstacles, but as lessons that are forming within you, the new version of you, the new belief systems, the new perspectives of the new version of the new Earth, so that you can overcome that. And the fourth thing I'll add to that is it's about embracing the growth personally and all of it. So when we begin to navigate these challenges, we're going to be in the wilderness. We're going to be embracing the uncertainty, and things are going to be constantly changing, and it will make us, question sometimes. And that question of those question marks I said a while ago, discernment, and can feel uncomfortable. So embrace the whole process as a growth process and surrender to the process rather than fight the process. And that will also help you so that you don't stay in the sense of resistance. And that means you're honoring the progress as you go through it, and to celebrate every step forward, and to celebrate that this is a good time. I mean, your perspective can mean everything. What we're doing collectively in this is such a paradigm shift collectively that it's an honor to show up and change history if you view it that way, and can take it off the spotlight of yourself and onto the whole picture of what we're actually doing. And so, yeah, so it's progress, not perfection, and it is a journey, not a destination. And so I highly recommend that you just keep going forward with what brings you the peace and the sense of peace and power in every given moment, that will then know that over time you're going to put together a puzzle that will begin to reveal itself a picture, and that picture may always be changing, but knowing that no matter which way it turns out, you're on the right path, because you went the path you needed to go to get what you needed out of the journey, and to really just celebrate that and celebrate who you're becoming in the process. Because I do feel that, this is going to be such an ongoing thing as we do a convergence of these timelines. We won't see the full effects of this in our lifetime, but we will be able to leave our imprint, leave our mark on the world in such a way that it's not about us. It's about what we're doing collectively. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Please let me know how you're navigating this, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. And I look forward to seeing you next month, and I will talk to you then. Take care. Loads of love. So I want to thank you for watching today. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know how it's impacted you, what you're going through, what perspectives you're having to change to shift paradigms between old version of you and a new version of you as you embody that and you literally help transform not just yourself, but transform the world, because that is what we came here to do on this twin flame journey, is literally alchemize ourself from like an old limiting version to a limitless perspective, and to be able to connect to all it is we came here to be, do, and have. I send you so much love. Make sure to like, comment, share the shine, and I'll see you in the next video.